What makes young people crave the rave?
I'm curious what makes you so curious.
In the beginning was the beat.
Welcome to the Rave Curious podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Glazer. What are we curious about? We're curious about electronic music and the culture that surrounds it. And how do we satisfy that curiosity? We do it by talking to some of the people who have dedicated their lives to the electronic music scene, the DJs, producers, promoters, and more. My guest on this week's podcast is Derek Plaslaiko, who, in addition to being a resident DJ for Bunker, New York, an official DJ for Ghostly International, and the current record holder for the longest Boiler Room DJ set ever, is also the DJ I've seen play more times than any other DJ in the world. I've easily seen Derek DJ over 100 times, and the reason for that is not only is Derek one of my favorite DJs, he's also one of my closest friends. We've been friends for almost 20 years, going back to the Detroit techno scene in the late 90s, where he was a resident DJ at Motor, which is a club I helped run back in the early 2000s. We've kind of been close ever since. One thing that Derek and I never seem to agree on is exactly how or when we became friends. Neither of us really remembers clearly, although I do know there was a point in time when Derek was playing Motor every Tuesday and he didn't have a car. So there were a lot of nights where I would end up driving him home after the club closed at 2 a.m., which is notable only because I lived about 5 minutes from the club and Derek lived like 30 minutes from the club. So it was a little ridiculous for me to be giving him rides home, but nevertheless, that was one of the ways we became friends. And I've kind of been driving Derek around, feels like, my whole adult life. This podcast being no exception. We actually recorded it in the car. Derek was booked to play a techno camp-out party about 3 hours outside of LA, and I volunteered to drive him out there. And yeah, this was on the drive home. We decided, what the heck, let's pull out the recorder and record a podcast and see how it came out. So this is definitely a casual podcast. It is not a formal interview. So there's a lot of stuff that gets left out. What you're going to hear is just kind of two old friends shooting the shit. You got me, you got Derek Plaslaiko, driving down the freeway in Southern California for another late night rave road trip. So yeah, thanks for listening.
This is a Rave Curious podcast experiment. I'm in the car. I'm driving right now. In the passenger seat is Derek Plaslaiko.
Hello.
So we're driving. We're about an hour outside of Los Angeles, coming down from the high desert, where Derek you played a little desert weekend getaway.
Yeah.
Probably. So what happened? So you called me what, about 2 weeks ago?
I don't think it was that. It wasn't even that long.
Maybe 10 days ago.
Yeah.
To tell me that you were flying in from Berlin to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
To play this party.
Yeah.
Basically, a buddy of yours is getting married in LA.
Right.
Shout out to Todd Burns.
Congratulations, Todd.
Congratulations, Todd Burns. So that works out. You fly 3,000 miles.
Yep.
To get to go play a party, and pays for you to get to go to your buddy's wedding.
Yeah.
So the party was little on the light side.
A little bit,
I guess, but I mean, it wasn't a bad party. It was, they had you on at a bit of a weird time.
Yeah, it was like dinner time, and it was next to a pool.
But it was like right when the sun went behind the trees, so there was no sun on the. So it was right at that moment where the sun's not hitting the water. Everybody's gonna go.
Everybody's scattered to get into their nighttime clothes and what have you.
I'm sure it's actually probably an awesome party right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It was probably gonna get great right when we left.
Right.
But we gotta get back to LA. It's a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about this. I can't even count the number of times we've done drives like this.
Yeah. mostly through Ohio. From Detroit.
The legendary one through Ohio.
Yeah.
The original.
Get that towel off your head one.
The Midwest tour. Which actually, two of the gigs were in Kentucky, and one was in Kentucky.
I want to say it was all. I don't know. Maybe
it was Lexington, Columbus, and Dayton.
Okay. Yeah, you have a better memory.
Because I drove.
Okay. Yeah, true.
Well, I think this whole thing started when, because we've known each other, going on 20 years now.
Yeah, roughly.
Not quite. But yeah, maybe. But there was that good chunk of time where I think I was the only one that had a credit card.
You were the only one that had a credit card?
So I was
the only one that had a car, too.
Right, I had a decent car, and then for that trip in Ohio, we rented a car.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was like, hey, I got 3 gigs. You feel like,
yeah.
You feel like getting,
And I paid your gas money.
Oh yeah, you always covered it or whatever.
Got your food.
I think the best thing about that trip, there were a lot of great things about that trip, was the Ohio vodka.
Yeah, that just said vodka on it.
And remember, we were drinking it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say we were drinking it as we were driving around, but we were dangerously close.
I'm pretty sure I was.
You probably were. Yeah, I think
you were driving.
I think I was at least putting them not drinking while I was actually in the driver's seat.
Right.
But we couldn't get drunk.
Right. Because it was like 4% or something.
It was something ridiculous.
Or not 4%, but it was like
40 proof.
Yeah, something like that.
40. It was half strength vodka.
Right.
Which I learned a few months later. I went down to Ohio for something, and somebody explained to me I was going to a party and I was going to pick up some vodka, and they said make sure you go to a liquor store.
Right, because we bought it at a gas station.
Right, and we thought it was amazing that you could buy cold vodka out of the cooler at a gas station.
Yeah.
And this next trip, somebody was like, go, make sure you go to a liquor store, not a grocery store, because you get the half power vodka.
Right.
And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, oh, there's 2 in Ohio. All liquors come in, the normal proof that you're expecting, which is, like whiskey, vodka, or things are usually around 80 proof.
Sure.
Or there's like the version you buy and you can get at the grocery store or gas station, which is only 40 proof. Which explains why no matter how much of that vodka we drank,
yeah, I
think at one point you'd be like, I should not be able to walk right now.
Right.
And I feel fine.
Right. I mean, it served its purpose, for the most part.
It probably was good that we didn't.
Yeah.
We probably would not have made those gigs.
We made all the gigs.
We did.
We made all 3.
Despite not getting the one.
Which
that was the I need a one.
I need a one.
I need the one. Calling the front desk.
Oh, the checkout. I forgot about that.
Everybody who's gone to party in other cities, anyone who's ever gone partying, and and then went back to the hotel knows that call you make to try to get that extra hour to before checkout.
Right.
I don't miss that at all.
Yeah, I mean, it can be bothersome. I remember I played recently. Well, it was like a couple years ago. I played in one of the last times I played in Philadelphia. I remember going back. I'd just done like a 10-hour set or something, and then went back to the hotel, and I was flying out at like 4 in the afternoon or something. And I asked the woman I called the front desk like right when I got back to my room, and I mean I was just destroyed. It was like 10 in the morning, and I was just like, can I please get a late checkout? She's like, I said, what's the latest you can possibly check me out at? She's like, that's okay, honey. I can get you checked out at 4:00. And I was just like,
whoa.
Oh, thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, only to find out she wasn't actually just being nice to me. It was with Starwood or whatever.
Oh, that's how you found out.
That's how I found out that you can get 4:00 checkout.
If you have like the Starwood Premium or whatever.
Correct.
Okay, so that's the pitch. Shout out to Starwood.
Yeah. But man, I wanted to send that woman flowers. I wanted to find out what her name was, and I wanted to send her flowers. And then I found out that she was
just doing her job.
She was literally just doing her job.
Well, I mean, look, I understand that basically the hotel, they have no reason to force. They give you what they can. And if they need that room, or they need to get so many rooms cleaned by a certain amount of time, because that's then where the housekeeping staff is done for the day, or
sure.
there's logistical things, and you got to deal with it. It's unfortunate that the situation that people who travel to party so often find themselves in is you get this. You're basically out while you're supposed to be sleeping, and then the hotel almost becomes.
No, totally. It's like it's and you can't even like change it. You can't. It's like you basically have to get 2 days if you want to really really use it properly. Because it's like you go back to the you can't check in before 3:00, so it's not like you can go back to the hotel and just check in at 10 a.m. Chances are they're going to be like, no way.
So, but that's God. I mean,
for a long time in Ohio, the Travelodge, I believe, was you get a 24-hour rental from whenever you check in.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I remember the one in Cincinnati I stayed out at once.
I only stayed at Travelodge once. I stayed at Travelodge in San Francisco, and it flooded. Like the room flooded on the second night.
Yeah.
That was not a great experience. But that's, I don't think it's you come from, I don't want to categorize you like as like the type of DJ you are career wise.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say most DJs that are, are if they're talking about hotels, they're not talking about the Travelodge.
Right.
Right. Like that's in a lot of ways that is very much, and as long as I've known you and we know each other so well, that's in a lot of ways like very definitive of your personality.
That I would stay at a Travelodge?
Or just like you're not gonna talk about the W.
No.
You're gonna.
I mean, I've stayed in some W's,
Oh yeah,
but,
I mean.
And then I'm pretty much like I now this whole 4:00 checkout thing has come to light. I'm pretty much Sheraton,
Aggressively.
Weston, yeah, and W does it too.
Okay.
Because it's Starwood. So yeah, I try to stay with the Starwood stuff.
That's reasonable.
And then I usually try to book my flight around it, but yeah.
So you book pretty much all your own stuff, right? Like your travel and stuff.
I mean, Brian Kasanick does handles all my bookings and stuff, and he ends up paying for the flights, but I always look into my own flights.
Okay.
He's like, because it's just like I never know what I want to do. I might want to stay a little longer in a city. I might want to stay a little less. I might want to stay an extra day, even and it's just like for him to keep track of which way the wind is blowing and what I want to do. Yeah, totally. It's just
what
I'm
you can do.
I'll do it, and you just take care of it. I hope I try to make it as easy on him as possible.
So Brian is your full-time booking agent, or no? You have a few now. You have Brian in the States and
Ophelia and from Love City Central she handles worldwide, and then Brian handles North America.
Okay, Brian of course is Bunker.
Correct.
Beyond Bookings.
Yeah.
Is that what he calls it still?
Yeah, Beyond Booking.
So, I was talking. Who was I talking to? I was talking to someone today. They were asking me if I had seen you play at Bunker for whatever reason, and I think it's funny that that's become such a known entity now.
Right.
And you started. Well, let's go back. Let's kind of go back to the beginning.
Okay.
You're from Detroit.
Yep.
We're both from Detroit.
Yep.
We met in. I remember the first time I remember seeing you. You were DJing in Karen Gage's basement
in Lansing,
in East Lansing.
Yeah.
That would have been 1995.
That would have been really bad then too.
It didn't matter because I had literally discovered Jeff Mills 3 weeks earlier.
Okay.
So the fact that you played a few of the records that I had heard Jeff Mills play.
Okay.
And this was like Jeff Mills was the second or third party I had ever gone to.
Okay.
So then the
Sector
fact that
616?
No, Sickness and Recovery.
Oh, okay.
Basically I had gone through some random malarkey that I won't get too deep into. I ended up in Toronto, and I want to say May or June of, I guess that would have been 1995.
Okay.
And I ended up going to a rave in Toronto.
And I was there?
And no. And I was just kind of I discovered it.
Okay.
And then the next thing I went to, a few weeks later, Richie Haughton was doing Sickness and Recovery in a field in Windsor.
Right.
It was him and Jeff Mills, and John Aquaviva.
And Eric Hopt.
Who I knew none of any of this. I knew who Richie Haughton was. That was it. And we went out, and I went into the tent, and Jeff Mills was just going on, I think, and I just never heard anything like that in my life, and it totally just like rewired my brain.
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, like, you know, maybe a month after that, I'm like, and, you know, I hear there's like, some of these rave kids are at this, you know, house, and I got a friend of a friend that knows, and
awesome.
Yeah, and I just remember like you were playing, and I think like my buddy who would take me there was like, dude, we just got like the new like Jeff Mills record. Like,
that's funny.
Really exciting stuff. But then we actually, I don't remember when we actually became friends.
It was after, would have been after the Lodge.
Was it that late?
I mean,
I think I thought we were friends. We've talked about this.
We talked about this. Yeah,
I thought we were friends well before you thought we were friends.
Yeah.
I was still just that guy.
Yeah, I did not like you. I just didn't.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Because by the Lodge, I had already been working a motor for a few months.
Okay.
We were booking you regularly. I thought we were cool, man.
And we were fine.
But I think it was the first time we got to know each other was the interview.
Right.
Which another thing that might be interesting to people who are bothering to listen to this is you were the first person I ever interviewed.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, I was the first person who ever interviewed you.
Pretty sure. I don't remember being interviewed before then.
So we have that.
Right.
And it was for issue number 1 of Real Detroit Weekly.
And that would have been 98?
February 99.
Okay.
Was when that came out.
Okay.
And I think it's the only thing I wrote for Real Detroit that I don't have a copy of.
I do.
I need to get like a copy of it.
I should have I think I have a couple actually. I think my mom kept a few is what it is.
I would think so. And I had what I thought was everything in my parents' basement. And when they moved a few years ago, and I had like last chance to get anything out.
Yeah.
I grabbed what I thought was all the Real Detroit clippings, but I can't find that piece.
No, I'm pretty sure I have one intact, like full
okay,
full everything.
We'll have to, because I'd be really curious to read it at this point.
I remember some of it.
I don't remember any of it. I'm sure it was ridiculous.
You were describing. I remember you were describing the scene at Motor. Like it opens with you describing the scene at Motor. It's a Tuesday night, and someone behind the turntables is pumping their fists and cheering on the crowd, or cheering on, but instead he's not.
He's not a fan. He's the DJ or something like that.
Right. But you were talking about me. I think it was me cheering Jason on Echo.
Oh, okay.
Kendick. I'm pretty sure that's what you were saying. Like it was just like it wasn't. It was just me being me.
The person who you're not used to DJs being that excited. Like usually it's
right.
Which is another thing you're kind of known for.
Well, maybe.
Or like this kind of not really like not that you're like fist pumping in the DJ booth, but that you have this enthusiasm outside of the booth.
Outside of the booth, right.
That,
or used to anyways. I'm getting old. I'm getting old and I kind of realized just how obnoxious I was being, so I think I just toned it down a little.
And there was one point, and I guess this podcast might just be us reminiscing for an hour, and that's fine. I do remember drunkenly harassing you at a gig at Decibel Festival.
Okay.
You were playing and you got upset.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm taking this shit seriously now.
No, I don't think I said now. I think it was like because it was. I remember the space. It was
like you were like DJing up on a balcony.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you couldn't see the crowd at all. And I was just trying to do something with the crowd because it was like you couldn't see anybody. You could only see like 4 people in the back of the room. And it was like I knew if those people were dancing, then the rest of the room must have been dancing too. And it wasn't going on. And I was just like, man.
Yeah, I was like trying to like whip you with my belt or
something like that.
So I'm not saying I didn't.
Oh, I think I hit you with the belt back.
Maybe I'm not saying I didn't deserve what I got.
Right.
I'm just saying it was one of those funny where I'm like, really?
I mean, I never like to be messed with when I'm playing. You know what I mean? I always try to stay as focused as possible and try to stay in it. And if the party isn't going, or if my set isn't going the right way, then I could be downright,
ornery.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely ornery.
And just say, just get the hell out of here. So sorry about that, man.
That's okay. It's all right. I'm glad we squashed that 10 years later, probably.
Yeah.
2006, 2007, something like that.
Sounds about right. Like I had a good run of going to probably 8 in a row or 7 in a row. Yeah. Playing either at the festival or one of the after parties and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I always loved going there. It's just like people were really cool. Like the people they were booking usually were really cool too. So it was nice.
Yeah,
to, like,
the bookings were always really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely it always had. I got that impression. I only went twice, and one time was just for one night. But the year we went, actually stayed the whole time. The one where Brian broke the handle of wine in my hotel room. I definitely remember feeling like meeting these Pacific Northwest techno people, and meeting. I remember meeting these guys who were from Montana.
Yeah,
and, we drive in once a month. We do the 8-hour drive to Seattle, and come party, and I remember thinking these are I know these guys. I don't know these guys, but I know these guys.
Yeah,
because that was so essential for our lives.
Absolutely. Maybe not 8 hours, but luckily we had places within 4 or 5.
Yeah. But we would absolutely what's going on in Chicago tonight?
Right.
Oh, so and so's playing. Cool. Get in the car and just. We drove to Chicago for something even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
For brunch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember once going there just because I wanted Potbelly.
Potbelly restaurant
from Detroit. I drove just because I wanted to go to Potbelly.
So, and that's something that that was I guess clearly we're saying it's not a distinctly Midwest thing. But,
yeah, right.
But it was I think a major part of the Midwest thing. That people would drop. This community was spread out. It was really maybe just 100 or 200 people in every city, but everybody would travel around enough.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't with the cities being so close too. You could not pre-internet, but it was easy to find out about all the other parties too. So
it was right at that thing where it was it wasn't all on the internet,
right?
But at the very least, there was web, listservs and whatever, so you could find out the information.
Or people were driving from these, if they had a big party coming up in Ohio or something, they would drive to Chicago and flyer it.
Oh, for sure.
You'd be at the big party in Chicago, and then you'd get the flyer for 3 weeks later in Cleveland or something.
I found it really interesting that. Did you read Michelangelo Matos' book?
I have not gotten around to reading it.
You really need to read it.
I know,
because it's basically just a chronicle of our youth.
Yeah.
Well, those especially certain chapters there's a whole chapter dedicated to kind of the Midwest and the driving, the parties culture.
Sure. I mean, I was so bummed. He really wanted to interview me for that, and we tried a couple times setting up times, but the time difference, just he had a full time, he had a day job, so the only time he could do it would be after work at 6 o'clock or whatever. And this is when I was living above John Muir, so I was just man, I'm not going to do this interview at midnight when I'm after I've been drinking at John Muir all night.
That's true, because I remember doing it sometime. Maybe I would have thought it would have been afternoon, but it might have been more. I don't know. But yeah, we did one interview. It was 3 hours long.
Okay.
I ended up in that book. I always end up in whenever I get interviewed for stuff, I always think it'll just be a small thing, and then I end up getting way more quotes than I would expect.
Well, you've got an amazing memory. It's true. It's true. You always seem to call up you're good storyteller.
I'm a bit of a raconteur when it comes to these things.
Yeah, I guess I'm bad at it.
Yeah, I got that when they did that when Todd Burns did the 10-year oral history of movement.
Yeah,
and same deal. He interviewed everyone, and I'm in that article more than Carl Craig.
Right.
And I was when it came out, I was oh God, this is embarrassing.
But were you in it more than Theakston?
We were,
if I remember
probably
correctly,
Theakston.
Theakston knocked it out the park. I remember Todd telling me afterwards that Rob Theakston, he's and Rob Theakston, I didn't know this person, and I think he might be my new favorite person in the world. I'm yeah, that's most people say.
Yeah.
Get to know Rob.
Amazing. But yeah, no, you're right. It was mostly me and Rob, but because Rob because Rob was in Carl's camp, he was working for Carl, and I remember talking to Todd about it, and I was he was it was a little embarrassing, and Todd's well, your quotes were better. You're a writer. You tell good stories.
Yeah.
He's I interviewed Carl Craig. He didn't have shit to say.
Yeah.
I tried. I couldn't get anything out. I couldn't get much out of him.
Yeah.
Which is, kind of, I think, how Carl generally is in interviews. Unless he's really talkative. It's kind of one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually pretty bad with
Yeah,
interviews.
you are.
My details, my details are always foggy. Everything in the past 20 years just seems to kind of run together.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's, little moments, but like overall, like I can't, like I was trying to remember, like someone, when Matos asked, he was doing the oral history of Motor, and he was just trying to like ask me like,
and he did interview you for that.
Oh yeah,
Okay, because that was mostly just leftover stuff from the book.
Yeah,
like he didn't interview me again. I think he just maybe
okay.
I think most of
again.
what he had was stuff he had gotten while doing the book, and maybe he just finally got a hold of you for that.
Right. Yeah, I was like the last person he interviewed. He asked me like 3 questions, and I could only answer one of them. I was like,
do you remember what the other 2 were?
No, I don't remember what any of them were.
That'd be funny. I don't remember what your quote was in that article.
I don't either.
But
I have no idea.
I think I remember everything.
Yeah.
They have like these good like historical reference, but I'll tell you like because there part of the book was talking about when I moved to LA and the whole like kind of mid 2000s hipster DJ thing. When like all of a sudden like Carlos D from Interpol was like a DJ.
Right.
We put him on the cover of Herb, and that was like a big deal because there was this classic American rave magazine,
right,
putting the bass player from an indie rock band on
Turned
the cover.
DJ, yeah, right.
And I mean he DJ'd quite a bit, but he was like in a way he was almost like more old school. He would play like The Cure and Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
Like I just remember like seeing him like open with like play Fascination Street at Beauty Bar in Hollywood.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is kind of like I remember going and dancing to stuff like that at
City Club.
Not City Club, at the State Theater.
Okay.
Club X.
Club X.
With Darren Ravel.
Yeah.
In 1990.
Okay.
When there was like this like alternative music dance clubs.
Right.
But I remember like my version at least of the story is I had proposed putting Carlos D on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to convince Raymond Roker, the founder of Herb. Like I convinced Scott Sterling, the editor-in-chief, that we should do this. Scott was down. Then we were trying to convince Raymond, and Raymond was, very unsure. I mean, he literally is in the masthead of the magazine. It said like, this is not the future of rock and roll. Like it said that like that was like the slogan of the magazine.
Okay.
Dating back to like the 90s. And so we were like, let's put the bass player from a rock band on the cover of your magazine.
How many letters did you get? Like knocking it or whatever.
I don't remember like there really being much pushback.
Uh-huh.
I remember the positive outweighed the negative. I remember like I know like within 6 months the New York Times did like a piece about how rock stars are now DJs and this whole thing changed, and they even referenced the fact. I think they even said like when Rave Bible Herb puts Carlos D from Interpol on the cover, times are changing.
Sure.
But in my memory, Carlos D was DJing a Beauty Bar. Scott and I convinced Raymond to come by Beauty Bar. So like look, dude, like come see it.
Yeah.
Come see it and then decide. Like, don't make a decision based on come witness it. Come check it out.
Yeah.
And
was he good?
It was a good party.
Okay.
Like it's kind of like at that point it's like it wasn't about is he a good DJ. I mean that's when he played he opened Fascination Street.
Right.
And people danced, and then he played Guns N' Roses and people danced, and it just had that that youthful energy that raves or whatever it had 10 years earlier.
Okay.
And it's just just the natural flow of things. But
it was like rock kids finally going out and like having the opportunity to dance to music that they liked or whatever, and they hadn't really had that. And yeah, I can see that.
And that's what turned it. And oddly enough, that was the scene that turned into Daft Punk, that turned into EDM, that now is like the biggest dance music scene in America. Literally grew out of that more than anything.
Huh.
From my perspective,
yeah.
It's like Steve Aoki was the resident DJ at the party where Carlos D DJ'd.
Oh wow, okay.
Like it was that scene, and then that grew out of it. But so anyway, so there's I told Matos this kind of whole story in the it ended up in the book.
Okay.
And I saw Raymond and I gave him a copy of the book, and I bookmarked the page. I was like, you got to read that. He opens it up and he skims it and he just looks at me. And he's like, not quite how I remember it.
Okay.
And at this point, I can only look at him and be like, absolutely what I remember, but I will not by any means,
How did he tell it?
I don't know. I think maybe the whole like Raymond needed convincing. Maybe in his mind he was more convinced than we thought he was.
Okay.
Who knows? Like it was 10 years ago.
Right.
More than 10 years ago. Well, 10 years ago when the book came out. And then we didn't go much further with it. I wasn't like, what? I didn't ask like, what do you remember?
Okay.
And I told him what I actually told Clark Warner, because Clark Warner asked me when the book first came out. He's like, is it accurate? And I told him, like, dude, I swear to God, I am 100% certain that everything I said is how I remember. And that's the best I can give.
Right.
It's like, but I guess like I got called out. Someone was like, that's not how I remember that happening.
Yeah.
So what? But I mean, I guess maybe you're too busy. Your head's just filled with records instead.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, people would ask me, they do a piece on the Bunker or something, and they'll ask me like what my favorite night was at Bunker, and it's like so many of them just blend together, and like I don't know, I just have a hard time like I just remember the party as a whole. I think of the whole thing. I remember the party in the spaces that they were in, not necessarily like the people who played at it.
Okay.
I try to remember I think I just remember more about like the energy that would be going on like within the thread of parties that were held in whatever space it was in,
Okay. So, and then do you remember your own like specific sets, like of your own or parts of sets?
I mean, I can listen, I can pull out like an old recording that I know I never listened to or whatever. And I can kind of like, and not guess, but like sometimes I'll know what I'm about to play,
Okay.
in the recording and be like, oh yeah, I totally remember doing that. I don't know, like stuff like that I can remember, but no, as a whole, I mean, and I also try to, especially back then, I tried to play differently, like every set, I didn't really know what I was going to play until I started playing it, so if I felt that like if it looked like the party needed like straight up house, then I would play house that night.
You say more so then. Do you not do that now?
I don't know. I mean, I think like living in Berlin, I talked about this with Dustin. I feel like
nobody listens to Dustin's podcast.
No, it's like I feel like you're in Detroit. You could play anything you wanted. Like if you showed up to maybe not Motor main room, but like. Well, maybe even a little bit in the main room. But if you showed up and you're playing in the side room at Motor, not the study, but the side room, and you just felt like playing hip hop that night, most people wouldn't be pissed. You know what I mean? Most people would just be like, all right, cool, he's playing a little bit of hip hop tonight. Like it wouldn't be a big deal. You know what I mean? And the same goes for house or techno or even drum and bass back then, But, then I moved to New York and things seemed to be a little bit more, like focused. You know what I mean? Like maybe a certain type of house music had to be played at this venue or at this party or whatever, or techno, and maybe this party was more of a minimal techno party and you couldn't really get away with playing like more, darker, like meaner stuff or whatever. And in Berlin, I feel like it's even more that way. It's like you go to Watergate and you're going to hear like minimal techno. You go to Berghain, you're going to hear like gray, dark techno. You go to Panorama Bar, you're going to hear mostly house music, with maybe a little thread of techno in it. But so I feel like that. Not having an outlet or too many outlets where I can actually do basically whatever the hell I want has kind of made me get a little bit more focused. Maybe kind of play, if you're playing like more pump and acid house, you can kind of get away with playing that like in almost any room in Berlin.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think in that sense, yeah, it's a little bit more like focused. But
so, well, what are you? I guess if you're given any choice, what are you most interested in playing right now?
Everything. Like that's the thing. I just did that mix I just put up from about blank last weekend. Like that was actually the reason I had so much fun playing that night is because it really was a room where you could do whatever you wanted. You know, you could play super deep house, and then like, you know, you could get up to playing like really, you know, hard techno even. You know, I never really got that hard that night, but I only had 2 hours, you know. But yeah, you know, I don't know. That's how I prefer to play. Is to be able to like go everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
Like kind of pick up where whoever was playing before me, however they were playing, kind of pick up where they left off, and then just kind of take it and kind of run away with it.
I think I was the last person to realize that you were fundamentally a techno DJ.
Okay.
I think I always, for the longest time, I'm like, no, Derek's a house DJ.
Right, because of Motor.
Because of Motor,
Right.
because of Family.
Yeah.
Which was, you know, Tuesday nights. 96?
The first party was in '96. We're celebrating our 20-year anniversary this year.
Okay. Have you done a reunion every year for 20 years?
I've never missed a reunion.
Has there been?
There has been years that we have skipped.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Because Jason Kendig living in San Francisco, he wasn't always coming home for Christmas, or you know, maybe I wasn't coming home for Christmas. So yeah, there were definitely times when we had skipped it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to because I never went home for Christmas.
Okay.
Like, you know, being Jewish, that's like
yeah, right.
the least interesting time to go, and it's so expensive and such a
anyways.
hassle, and my family really doesn't care.
Right.
But I just remember. I mean, I remember the last family reunion I went to was at the Works, and it was actually kind of annoying because it was you and Jason in the back room playing current music
And
to nobody,
right.
while in the front room,
Brian Gillespie and everybody.
yeah,
were playing,
who played in the small room at Family. Would play like hip hop and down tempo stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
They were playing all the classic house stuff that you and Jason played.
Right.
And it was like, why is this party here and not?
Well, to be fair, a lot of those records were records that we heard them play at poor boy parties too. So.
I'm not saying they're.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They were definitely not out of line playing that stuff. But I mean, it was, you know, and you'd have to also remember that they were in the front room at the Works, and alcohol plays a big role in the family parties. So in socializing too, it's like most people want to have a drink and catch up and, you know, see people that they haven't seen in a long
it's called
time.
Family Reunion now.
Of course, yeah.
Totally.
So that, you know, that definitely played a role in it. But like, we haven't done a family reunion in like 3 years now, I think.
Okay.
The last one we did was at the shelter, and it was it was just me and Jason all night in the actual shelter, and then they set up a little sound system in the back bar.
Right.
Back by old Dan K's old bar.
That would make sense,
right? But it didn't work out that great.
Really? Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, we tried doing that for Untitled a bunch of times too, like back in the early 2000s or whatever. And yeah, it just bleeds, and it's really not fun for whoever's playing in the back. And we were talking about doing it again there this year, and we were all kind of like, it's not really fair to Brian, you know, to have that, you know. So I guess the shelter won't be the venue.
So is there a venue set? I mean, I guess it's
no. I mean,
6 months away.
I just got on him to kind of lock it down because I looked at flights and I'm going to be in the States for the first 2 weekends of December already, and I can't stay longer than 2 weekends anymore. Like that's like, it's not fair to Heidi. It's not, you know, it's just like,
yeah, you don't want to be away from your family that
absolutely long. You know, and so it's no more 3 weekenders. So we had to kind of like figure it out, like that I would be coming back, you know, just for this party. And you know, the party's not really it's not like a big huge money maker. You know, Adriel tries to keep it pretty cheap and everything. And if my flight is, you know, €1,600, like it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So we're kind of looking at it as maybe I'll stay for a week. I'll come back like the day after Christmas, I think was how the flight worked out. Or maybe I fly on Christmas Day and I have to fly back on New Year's Eve or something like that. And then the flight becomes like a totally normal.
Can you get other bookings during that time, or is that just?
Well, I could. I mean, I could do a New Year's. You know, but then that's the other thing too, is that we have Bunker Anniversary the following Friday after New Year's. Like historically, that's when Brian's always done it.
At this point, you have too many reunion anniversaries.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm not going to fly back 3 times in 6 or 8, 7 weeks. You know, that's just way too much. It's way too much.
So,
but the Christmas flight is like $650 or 1,600 euros. You know what I mean? It's like if like the other. It's,
depending on how it.
If I do it the other way, it's totally affordable, and I can come back just to do family reunion and come right back. But
wow,
yeah, it was a mess, like trying to figure it all out.
So how many residencies have you had now? I guess you start with. Family was your first, right?
Well, technically, it was the first successful one.
Okay.
The first residency I had was with Jeff Sapphire and Jamie Lutzo. Were doing somehow they got the Ritz out in Roseville.
The Ritz, okay.
And they did a party called Blended, and I think it was every other Wednesday or something like that. I mean, we only did it like 3 times, I think, because it was just like. I mean, it's the Ritz. To the Ritz in Roseville. Yeah, man, and like the Ritz is massive.
I don't know how you explain the Ritz to. I mean, every it doesn't matter where you live in the world, everybody knows the Ritz.
Yeah, it's just like a notorious rock venue.
Yeah, and like not like a good rock venue.
No, yeah, where like Poison would play or something.
Was it like that? Like
yeah,
but it was like in the suburbs. Like would Poison play at the Ritz
in the early years? Probably.
I guess maybe like every
or Uriah Heep or something would play there in the 80s or something like that. You know, like classic rock bands maybe.
Okay,
like not really huge ones that would sell out arenas or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the Ritz. It wasn't. It didn't make any sense. I think Huck played, Mike Huckabee. I think Michael Geiger played, and I think Craig Gonzalez. I don't know. I'd have to look. It's been a while. I was just going through. I have the RBMA did ask me to do a piece on rave flyers, and so I went down through my mom's basement. And I went through the big box of flyers that I have down there. And so I ran, and I forgot all about Blended, actually. I was like, oh my God, that's right. So yeah, there was that. And then me and Carlos Souffrant, we got a gig at the Shelter. I guess that was probably going on. I don't know if it was, I think it was going on before I took over as a resident of Family at Motor. But we were doing a night on Saturday nights called Old School, where we just played. This is when D-Man was the manager down there.
Okay.
And he wanted us to come in and play like Britpop and shoegazer stuff, and like that kind of vibe. And that was fun. Like I remember one night. Did you go see Spiritualized when they played there? They played 2 nights two shows in the Shelter, an early show and a late show.
In the Shelter.
In the Shelter.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing him in the show. I remember seeing him in St. Andrews Hall.
Yeah. No. This was the Shelter. It was It was right before. I think it was right before whatever album has Electricity on it, which I believe is the second one.
Yeah. Terrible.
I don't know.
I'm terrible because at the end I always just listen to the live at Royal Albert Hall disc.
See, I'm fucked up inside.
Okay.
For live album with them. I mean, the Royal Albert Hall one is good. I mean, let's face it, it's Spiritualized live. They're incredible.
Well, that's the thing. They're one of those like the records are cool, but they're like
I never want to listen to a Spiritualized album again after I've seen them play the songs live.
Yeah,
like it's seriously.
Like I just want to hear live versions.
Yeah. They just mastered it down. Anyway, other residencies. Let's see. I mean that one went on for like. That one went on for like probably about a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I
something like that.
I don't think I ever knew about this, and I've known you and Carlos for 20 years.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. I mean, no one really came. I mean,
in Detroit, could you hold down a Saturday night residency for a year?
Right.
And nobody really came.
Dude, it might not have even been that long. I know Carlos would probably have a better memory of it than I.
Because Carlos is the librarian.
Yeah, of course. Like, no, man, we were down there 3 months. And then let's see, I had the residency then came Family,
right?
And then Family ended, and then we did I did my night at the Works for a little while, the Spirit Works party.
Oh, right, okay.
Which I guess that was, it was me and Greg Mudge were the residents. Yeah, let's see, and then I moved to New York in 2004, and then eventually got the Bunker residency.
That happened fairly soon after you moved to New York, right?
I started playing at the Bunker soon after I moved to New York, and I was playing pretty regularly, but he didn't make it official until July of 2006.
Okay.
So I've been there 2 years at that point.
It's very coy of Brian.
Yeah, well, I mean, two of the residents were leaving.
Oh, right.
Ivy was leaving, and oh God, Carl was moving to Oakland.
Okay, I don't know these people.
Yeah, totally. Well, you know Ivy.
Oh, Ivy.
Yeah.
She was a resident?
Mhm.
I didn't even know she was a DJ.
Yeah, Unjust. She did a great podcast for the Bunker, maybe I don't know, 30 episodes ago or something.
Oh, I'll
25.
have to go dig that
Yeah,
out.
Unjust. It's all.
But I guess
it's all
that
like
was back when
electro.
Wood Bunker was more like experimental.
That's when I first
Right.
came on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there would be it was half and half. Some nights you come down there and it would be like nothing but experimental stuff, and then like the next.
Hold on, real quick. I got to figure out which lane we want to be in. It looks like it wants us to stay.
It says you got to go left.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Continue.
Make sure you keep that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Reminding everyone that we're recording this while driving down the highway through the desert.
Yeah.
It's midnight. Exactly midnight.
Yeah, we've got another 25 minutes to go.
25 minutes. Okay, so we'll see if we can get through your
Residencies?
Your residencies.
Yeah, and
25 minutes.
then that would be it. I mean, there's also Meotic in Chicago, where I had the residency. I would go out for Your Formula Life, their party that they would do, their monthly party, and I would go out. I don't think it was every month. I think it was every other month, or maybe every 3 months they would have me out. And that went on for like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
And you're forgetting about, you had your residency. What was the night you did in Berlin with Schneider and Schmitty?
Oh, Barnstormers.
Barnstormers.
That was a short-lived three
party run.
Yeah. And let's see. I mean, then there was also. Oh God, what was I thinking? Well, I mean, there was the
Whoa.
Are you getting pulled over?
Stand still.
Oh, we got traffic, people.
Oh, we are at we just hit standstill traffic. Maybe it's midnight on a Saturday 4th of July weekend, and we just hit standstill traffic. Thank you, Los Angeles.
Well, Waze still says 25 minutes. So.
All right. No, it's brief.
Okay. Yeah, and then I mean there would be CDV for that one summer. Where I
That's
played every
right. Yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah.
But that wasn't really my residency. That was like, that was the Vision Quest guys, and they just...
What was the deal with that, though? Because the Vision Quest guys were never there.
That was the thing. So they wanted someone... I'm going to move... This might get a little bit louder, because I'm now holding the thing.
I think you can put it back there. I think it's all right.
You think?
Look, I know this is going to come out or not. We'll see how it is.
It feels like one microphone is grinding against the...
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Just hold it back.
Yeah, I mean, they were gone so much in the summer that they weren't around. So they like Ryan and Sean and Lee and Seth, they wanted people playing there that they knew at least. So they had me and Eric Johnston play every Tuesday because,
Right. That was the summer I moved to Berlin. We closed that place down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Every Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning, about 10 a.m. usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, get there at 4 in the afternoon, leave at 10 in the morning. That's
Thanks, Berlin.
That's real healthy lifestyle.
For 200 euros.
If that. I mean, some nights it was pretty.
Some nights were fun. Well, the one we had in Melbourne was great.
Mm-hmm.
Although they didn't like that.
No, I don't think they did.
Didn't they actually call from, somebody called from Ibiza and was like...
No, I think we were joking about that.
Oh, maybe that was a joke. And
nobody said anything. I
didn't
thought
know.
for sure I was going to hear about it, but we never did.
So, because they had a feed or something.
Yeah, that's what we were afraid of.
Oh, you made that part up too.
What?
That was all speculation that they.
No. They had the feed,
Oh,
but it was.
okay.
But it was. That's what I'm saying. We were afraid that they were listening,
I see.
and then they could be like, "What? What are you doing?"
Well, the set was great, and the party was great.
It was fantastic,
but it just was. It was not. You already talk about like clubs that have a very kind of
it's just not
regimented sound.
Not what they do at
This
Club
is
Division Air. No.
Yeah. And Gregor will say that too. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't the Vision Quest guys. It's like Gregor has a very specific.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Kind of music policy. Oh wow, 2 cars, 3 cars.
Just keep driving. You're part of the problem if you're looking at the
You're
accent.
right.
pal.
You're right. I rubbernecked.
Everybody did,
So.
and we paid the price. We lost a minute.
Oh man. Okay.
Sorry, 1 minute longer than the podcast.
That's all right. Oh, this is true. I forgot about the CDV. How could I forget? I was there every Tuesday, and then it's like, oh wait, because I was there every Tuesday. I don't remember anything from that summer.
Yeah, and then I don't know if I'd classify this as a residency or not. It's stretching it a little thin, but Aaron from Hot Mass says that the first Friday of December, from now until I quit DJing, I'll play at Hot Mass. And I think I said to him, I was like, well, what if the club closes? He's like, every first Friday in December, for as long as you're still DJing, you'll play here. That's like, all right, man.
That's funny.
So I don't know.
Why December?
It was
just
no,
arbitrarily, like you played there one year.
Exactly, and then the next year it just ended up that I was playing. He didn't realize it. It just kind of happened that way.
Okay.
And he's just like, I think this is your weekend. I think this is every year on this Friday you'll play. I'm like, okay. No, why wouldn't I want to do that?
I still haven't been. I mean,
it's phenomenal, man.
Great things.
It is one of the
and
best
I like
parties.
those guys. Like Aaron's awesome.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's another room that's just up for it. Like you can, like I can do the whole thing. You know what I mean? I can do like the first half hour, just be like people coming in the door and playing like rock stuff or whatever. Just kind of like just mellow, just kind of waiting for the room to kind of fill up, and then as soon as there's enough people, just kind of like start.
Yeah, and you play open and close when you do
open
it, right?
and close.
Yeah.
But it's not that long, right? It's like I think this last time we started at midnight, but the time before was 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. and that's
5 hours.
Yeah.
When did 5 hours become not that long?
I don't know. Once, I mean, it really started. I mean, it started with Wicked. That was the first time anyone ever gave me a room just to play by myself or whatever.
Which I'm still contending that you were on your way to playing the greatest set of your life. I've listened to the 3.5 hours that did happen before the cops showed up. I have listened to that set probably more than any other mix in existence.
I would hate to hear it now.
You didn't want to hear it then.
Yeah.
I remember you were like, it wasn't that good. I'm like, no, you were wrong. But it was an hour of like rock
stuff,
like belly,
and that was like decided that night that I was going to do that. I was like, that's how because I mean it was like I think I started at 10 p.m. or something like that. It was Detroit. It was in Ann Arbor. So it was like, it was a Yipsy? Okay.
Yeah,
and I knew it was going to take a long time for the room to like kind of fill in and everything. So I was just like, I could play like ambient stuff, or I could just like bring some rock records and just kind of like, I don't know,
You opened with Richard Pryor.
Sounds right.
And there was, I don't remember the exact order, but you played something like, and then it went Richard Pryor into Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
And then there was some belly. There was Pink Houses was played.
I played Pink
John
Houses.
Mellencamp. Oh yes.
That doesn't shock me. I want to say Throwing Muse's Fish was also on there.
Throwing Muse was definitely in there. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't Belly.
I played Belly too. I played Slow Dog.
Okay.
I think they were both back to back.
I
think I've listened to that part, but the rest of it, like I don't care about.
And it was right when the party was really kicking into gear, like really like.
That I remember.
Like you finally got it into fifth gear, and like 2-3 records in, the cops showed up.
Yeah, it was like done.
So.
But then, I mean, so there was, on my birthday in Detroit, I would always play by myself because I had too many friends that were DJs, and I didn't want anyone to feel excluded out from like playing my, if I didn't ask,
What is it telling us to do here? I think it wanted us to do something that I just missed, but I don't know what.
Well, the time went down.
Waze is tripping.
It's fine now. It probably thought that we took the exit, and we actually didn't.
Yeah. But no, now it wants me to take the next exit.
Osborne Street.
I have no idea what that is. We should just be staying.
It wants to loop.
Yeah.
But you know what you're doing, right?
This particular stretch of highway, not so. I mean, I know if we stay on this, we get to Los Angeles. There might be a shortcut to get to Santa Monica. You did put in my home address, right?
I did. I put your home address in. It was right at the top.
Man, I don't know how I feel about this.
Unless it has your old home listed as your home address.
What, Berlin?
Ah, yeah, good point. Good point.
I don't know if I should get off here or not. I mean, I usually want to just like put my faith in Waze.
It says we're going to get back at 12:33, so I would do it.
All right. He's going to put us on something. Because I think the 5 heads more towards downtown.
Okay.
Maybe it's going to get us over to like the 405 or something.
Who's still listening? How you guys doing?
We've become an episode of the Californians.
How you guys doing out there?
Take the 405 to Pico.
What are you doing here?
What did you?
Yeah. So that there was, on my birthday I'd play by myself, and just because I didn't want to offend any of my friends, and have anyone feel left out. And so that kind of started a trend with me or whatever. And then when I moved to New York, I met Thomas Schreiber from Philly, and he was just like, you should just come down and like just play all night. I'm like, that's exactly what I would love to do. And he had me. I don't know if I played all night the first time I went down there at Yura, this little like bar place or whatever that their cafe or something. And I might have played all night, but I don't think I did. And then like the next time, I don't think I did. And then he knew Justin from Inciting HQ in Philly, and it was just like, are you really going? They're like, you can play all night. And they're like, are you really going to play 8 hours? And then everyone would laugh. They're like, are you really going to play that long? And I was like, yeah, yeah. Like, it's not even a question. And like people would laugh about it. Like, okay. And yeah. So then that started a thing, and like I would go down there like every 9 months. And it finally built up. At first, the first one there was like maybe 40 people at or something like that, and then the next one it was like 100, and then the next one after that it was like 150, and then by the fourth one it was like they wouldn't let any more people in after like 2 or 3 o'clock, and so we really had something there, and it was cool too because then around 5 it would fizzle out a little bit. And then that's when everyone, because it was a BYOB party, they provided like free water or whatever. But at like 5, 6, 7 in the morning is when it would start getting real good, because that's when people would start breaking out like all the fixins that they had. Like, so someone over here would be making a Bloody Mary, someone over here would be making like White Russians or whatever, and everyone's just like trading and sharing and stuff like that. But those parties were really, really, really special, like really awesome.
So those don't happen anymore, right?
Not an Inciting. Rudy and Tom's not in Philly anymore either.
Yeah, Tom's in Berlin.
Yeah. Oh no, he's in.
Oh, I'm thinking other Tom.
No, that's him. He moved to Leipzig.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He actually moved to Leipzig.
Mm-hmm.
He was always trying to get me to go hang out in Leipzig.
Yeah.
I guess he meant it.
So yeah, he's in Leipzig now. I think.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's about it.
Sorry, I'm wanting to make sure we do this right this time. I think we want 118 West, exit 156A to 118 West. Yes.
Okay.
Jeez.
So yeah, that's the long set thing.
Okay.
And it's just, I kind of like at the Wolf and Lamb parties, like the early Wolf and Lamb parties at the Marcy Hotel. It kind of blew Brian's mind that like I would keep playing. Like I remember one night in particular. Where I played. I think I was like 2 hours in, and he was just like, he said something to me. He's just like, you're playing like the best DJ set I've ever heard in my life. How is there anything I can get you right now? And I was just like, I just asked for, a bottle of or a glass of vodka or something. I don't know what I actually asked for. And I was like, oh, and by the way, I'm probably about halfway done. And he just started like laughing. He was just like, and he ran off.
You were how many hours in?
I think it was only 2 hours in or whatever, and it ended up being like 4 hours. Maybe it was 4 hours in and I played 8 hours. I don't know. But I remember it just like Brian thought it was the funniest thing in the world that I was just going to keep playing. And like he literally just ran off like laughing like maniacally.
I feel like a lot of times that's like, I don't want to say it's normal now. 405 Santa Monica? Yeah. Oh, shit, that's right here. Oh, God damn it.
Get off Sepulveda and turn around.
Oh, son of a bitch.
This one's saying 14 miles to Sunset Boulevard, though.
Well, now it wants to do that? Either way, okay, I guess there's two options.
Or no, it thinks we're on the exit.
It thinks we're on the 405. Yeah,
yep.
I don't... Son of a bitch.
You want to do the podcast while driving, man.
I did. Okay, all right. This is... all right, now, it's okay. We're going to fix this.
Okay.
Just get off the next exit, turn around.
Still says it's only 12:33 to.
Because it thinks this is the 405. It thinks now it's about to be like, oh, you fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh, see, you fucked up, son.
12:36.
Yep.
Ouch.
Right.
You're just trying to milk this for all it's worth.
So, all right. Now I'm focusing. I feel like I should focus more on. What's on the 405? I'll get us home.
Smooth
because
sailing.
I live off the 405.
Yeah.
Like, that's easy. But so what else is going on?
What else is going on?
What's going on, man? You put out a mix.
Yeah, I never do that. It's really rare.
What was the last time you put out? When was the last time you did that was a mix like you did like at home? You like.
Yeah, the last one before that was the Death Techno podcast, I think, like in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, like November, I think it came out. And that would have been the last one from then. And before then, who knows? Oh, before then would have been me and Servito's 9-hour Bunker 100
yeah.
podcast.
But that was a live recording.
That was a live recording, yeah.
So
I mean, I particularly do enjoy doing home mixes and like really taking the time and like trying to program something cool to listen to that's not just based upon like the crowd in front of me or whatever, but just like a nice blueprint of a good set or something like that. But the mixer we have at home isn't really it's not the most inviting.
the PMC 50's going?
No, it's PMC. It's a PMC 375.
Oh,
And it's not really in the best of shape, and yeah, it just doesn't sound that good and everything. I don't know. I've had to do a few mixes on it, and I think they've ended up sounding okay. But yeah, it's just like
borrow Schmitty's mixer.
I like that mixer, but it's not something I would want to do.
I guess yeah.
And if I'm using the looper and using the pocket piano or anything else like with it or any other stuff, there's no room for it because it's just a 3-channel mixer.
Yeah.
So.
But it's rotary, dude.
Yeah. Well, sure. I would like to do more mixes at home, and honestly, I just don't have the time to. Yeah.
So when you do a mix, I mean, does it? I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but does it does anything happen when you do a mix besides like there's a mix? Like, do you get more bookings? Do you like?
I don't know. I don't do them very often.
Well, you're putting one out right now,
right?
And is it for somebody or is it just on your?
It's just on my SoundCloud page. I mean,
Okay.
I've had like a pro account with SoundCloud, and I never use it.
Okay.
So I mean, I put up the last mix I put up. God, it was when we were doing the Untitled reunion. The Untitled residency. There's another residency.
Oh yeah, there's a total residency.
That
That was a big one. That was with
Matthew Deere, Todd Melanix, and Mike Servito,
yeah.
and Ryan Elliott.
All you were residents.
Yep.
Did all you play every time?
Yeah.
That's a lot of residents.
Ryan came on at the end of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that maybe at a point where like Matt wasn't there so much? 'Cause he was starting to travel a lot.
No.
No, but there was
I think we just added Ryan.
just a lot of residents.
Yeah, I think
For
we just-
Detroit, a party in Detroit that you can only go till 2 a.m.
But no, you know what? Maybe Ryan wasn't a resident. I don't know, because I mean, when we did, no, Ryan absolutely was a resident. He absolutely ended up being a resident. I think we just added him.
Okay, why not?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you remember those parties were either crazy or they were dead. Like
I left Detroit by then,
Mm.
so I only went to one or two, and I don't. They didn't leave a great impact, like a big impact on me.
I remember with the garage sale one, you still sold all your CDs.
I wish other people have told me that. I don't remember doing that.
You don't remember when John Gerlach had the red, white, and blue bandana on his head, and he was like making deals with people about his stuff?
So much I don't remember. For all this, this way we were talking about how much I remember stuff, and like there's shit like I don't remember at all.
Oh, that happened.
Like I don't remember doing that, and I'm sure I did. It was probably right before I moved to LA.
Yeah, you had a booth in the back. You had ripped all your CDs anyways, and you just said, "I don't need these anymore."
Yeah, because that was when I was living in Chicago. That's kind of what I did.
Yeah, and you were at the end of the night. You were just like, I don't want this stuff anymore. And like, not all of it sold or whatever. And I was just like, I'll take these Time Stereo CDs.
Oh man, the funny thing is, I actually rebought most of those.
Yeah, you were saying.
And then, because then, like, then like 10 years later, 8 years later, then like Flax became a thing.
Sure.
Suddenly, I think I ripped everything at 256.
I did exactly the same thing.
In 2003.
Yep.
I did whatever, like 100 gigabyte drive.
Literally exactly the same thing. I did 260. I did whatever it was.
256. And then I was like, a couple years later, you get a terabyte, and I was like, now I want Flax.
Right. And it's like, why didn't I just go 320? Like,
yeah.
Why did I do 256?
And like most stuff you could just find online, but Time Stereo stuff, not a whole lot of it online. So
right.
I actually ended up, but you could buy a lot of those CDs used on Amazon for like $4 a piece.
Sure.
So it's like bought the entire His Name Is Life catalog, ripped it, and then like got rid of the CDs again.
Yeah.
Because I just don't.
Well, that's right, Rave Curious listeners.
Yeah.
We're talking about indie rock again.
This happens.
This does happen.
This does happen. We had I don't remember the context, but I think I do remember us having a specific moment where we both discovered like, oh wait, you're into this stuff too?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember what it was.
Afghan Wigs, maybe?
Oh,
that sounds right.
Like the actual band, like a specific band we bonded
Yeah.
over. I don't remember if it was an actual band or if it was just like a sudden understanding that, like, oh, you're like an indie rock kid who.
Well, you were in a band, right? You put out a 7-inch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Blaster.
That's right.
Put out a 7-inch on Mike Canic's label.
Mm-hmm.
Who is not on Facebook anymore, unfortunately. There's something, I haven't talked to him in 15 years, but there was something that I really wanted to tag him on Facebook recently, and I couldn't find him, so I think he gave up on the Facebook. But I remember when that Oral History of Motor piece came out, Patrick Russell had a line in there that basically said, it said something like, we knew Josh Glazer as this indie rock kid from East Lansing.
Yeah.
None of us could figure out what he was doing running Motor.
Right.
Which I thought was the greatest thing ever.
Did he apologize to you?
Yeah, like
he didn't mean it like that?
I immediately messaged him just like, yo.
Right.
Hey, I don't think he was online at the time, but just like, hey. And then like an hour later he responded. He saw it, he was like, bro, I'm so sorry. It was totally out of context. I didn't mean it like that. I'm like, no, that's amazing. I love that.
Totally.
Like, I think my techno bonafides are okay. I like getting the indie rock cred out there a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I knew that was the case, and that was the case at the time. Like me and Johnny went from like being
zero to hero.
Went from being Camel guys to running the biggest club in Detroit.
Right.
Without having ever like thrown a party. Like, we never threw raves. We never. We did a weird party at Motor on an off night.
Yep, I remember that.
Like Ron Zach, we did like one. It was an experimental music night.
Experimental / electro kind of.
Yeah, and so Motor was like, "Good job with that. Why don't you run our club?" Yo, someone gotta go pick up Bad Boy Bill from the airport.
Right.
Like,
okay. Start now.
I don't know who's like. Yeah, no, literally, I got John started working there. John got hired to handle promotions.
Yeah.
Like John got poached from Camel, from KBA, to go run promotions at Motor.
Yeah, and
when
then
Linda was doing the bookings. And then
they needed someone to make a flyer,
and
right?
Then when Linda left, she just like walked in one day and said, "I'm out. I'm opening a competing club, and I'm taking all these bookings with me."
Right.
Which that was talked about in that oral history.
Yeah, what was the name of her club again?
Science.
That's right.
And it was in like Mount Pleasant or something.
Yeah.
It was in the suburbs.
No. It was west. It was like Westland or something.
It was bizarre. There was lots of mounted animal heads on the walls.
Yeah.
But anyways, and so literally John called me and was like, "Can you come to Motor? We got to talk about something." And so I like showed up. It was like on like a Tuesday afternoon or whatever. And I walk in and Dan, the owner, was just like, "Linda quit. John, your bookings. Josh, your promotions." And we literally just like went down, went to the office, went to the file cabinet, started going through folders with like kind of chicken scratch notes that Linda had written, and just trying to figure out like
Figure out what she did.
How do we book DJs?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
how do we do this? I don't know how this works. You know how this works? And, we figured it out pretty quickly. And it was you know what it was? It was right before Halloween.
Okay.
Because I just happen to remember that I started it. Yeah, it was like end of October 1999. Because the first weekend I was there was a 3-day weekend or something. I don't know, but I remember there was Doc Martin played for nobody, and then we had Paul Oakenfold.
Oh man.
Which was obviously sold out.
Yeah.
And then the sound system went out halfway through his set. Because Motor was good like that.
I thought it was Sabotage. It wasn't Sabotage?
It wasn't Sabotage. It was that they had the amps just sitting next to the DJ booth.
Okay.
Where like people would sometimes sit on the amp rack. Like there was no sense of like we should have to keep the amps, like the control of the sound system away from the crowd.
Yeah.
That just wasn't factored in at that point.
Okay.
Later they moved it like into a secure like
probably
closet.
because of that night.
Yeah.
I remember when they did that.
Yeah, but I don't remember what the point was. But no, because we were like, and I remember like sitting there with John, being like, "Well, who do you want to book?"
Yeah.
And for some reason, I was like, the first thing out of my head was DJ Hell. I wanted to book DJ Hell, and the only thing I knew of DJ Hell was his X mix.
Okay.
Which I still to this day love.
Yeah,
If you
sure.
want to hear a great mix that's totally like nobody talks about, is underrated, is awesome. DJ Hell X mix.
I mean, all those X mixes really.
All the X mixes are
Garnier
great.
one especially.
But see, the Garnier one's the only one I never really got into. I was much
The
more
Garnier one's what made me start DJing.
Everybody loves the Garnier one. I was much more into his laboratory mix. But anyways, and it took a year because this was like Halloween '99, and on Halloween 2000 we had DJ Hell play for us it was either on Halloween or on Devil's Night.
It's Devil's Night.
It was Devil's Night.
Yeah. But it was a Tuesday.
Was it a Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll buy into that.
I'm almost positive. What year did you start?
I started Halloween '99.
Okay.
And so Halloween 2000 was when we had DJ
Yeah, it was
Hell
a
play for
Tuesday.
us.
I think it was a Tuesday.
And I just remember it was a great night. It was an amazing party. The club was full. We did like Halloween, decorated it out. We stayed an extra night. We took him to see ICP at the shelter. Like we went with him and Brendan Ectomorph.
Right.
All went out to dinner. All went out for Ethiopian food, and then we all went to the shelter to see ICP. And
Was the shelter or the state?
no, it was St. Andrews.
Okay.
Sorry, it was St. Andrews.
Okay.
And Hell wanted to like sign them to his label. He's like, and we were trying to explain to him like, no, dude, like, you can't afford these guys.
Yeah,
like,
right.
this is not like this seems just like some weird like Detroit thing. These guys
Right.
make so much money,
Right.
and just have to like are kings of their own
Doing
universe.
that.
Yeah, they are not interested in putting out a record on a German techno label.
Right.
But then we never were able to get him again. And he told somebody that he didn't feel Detroit was ready for him.
Really?
Which I thought was so odd, because the one time he played for us, we thought it was so great.
Well, when he played at Alvin's, which you probably weren't at, like him and Houghton played
The
Alvin's.
trip party. I did not go to that party.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great party.
He's so underrated. Like, he's not underrated because everybody knows him, but, like, he's one of those weird ones where it's like, everything I've ever heard is quality.
Right.
Every mix, every mix he ever put out, every time I've seen him, like, we played in Miami.
Yeah.
Always
I
great.
played with him at Panorama Bar last.
He played at Panorama Bar.
Yeah, it was a party. It was in September of last year. They did it was me, Carlos, DJ Hell.
Missed the exit.
Of course you did.
It's okay. Next one's the same. Wilshire, Sunset, doesn't matter.
All right.
We're now a mile from my house and I'm missing exits.
I can't remember. So it was Hell. Oh, it was Hell, then Ectomorph, then Carlos, then me
Okay. Oh, wow.
on a Friday.
Because for a while, there was a whole, like, I thought they, like, wouldn't book Hell at Panorama.
It was a party they did called Electromotive Force, and like upstairs was supposed to be kind of like acid and electro, and downstairs was more about like harder, like it was actually I think it was all like electro and modular stuff.
Okay. Was that like a Friday or something?
It was a Friday.
Okay.
It was a Friday, and it was kind of a strange crowd. because because there was a lot of people that were just coming, to Panorama, like they were coming to come to the Panorama Bar, and they didn't necessarily mind what they were hearing, but they weren't really.
It wasn't their.
No, so they were a little bit confused why they were hearing so much acid house that night.
But no, Hell's fantastic, and I think it wrote something in some article talking about like the difference in like Berlin clubs, how it's like people choose where they want to go based on the club.
Yeah,
because basically it's all shades. It's all different. True. It's all shades. Like, well, this kind of almost brings us full circle on this podcast. Right. Amazingly enough, like you were saying at the beginning, that like certain clubs have certain sounds. Sure. You feel locked into those sounds.
Yeah,
but I feel like you could almost say like every club kind of has the same sound.
I don't.
But people go to different clubs for the, it's all shades of house and techno.
Maybe I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that.
Well, okay, but like DJ Hell will be playing at Tresor.
Yeah,
and nobody wants to go.
Yeah,
but then DJ Hell will be playing a Panorama Bar, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, totally, let's go. I love Hell."
Yeah, it was fun up there. I mean, he was really laying it down for a while. Like I walked in the room and like the place was really going off, and yeah, it was really cool. And then like he kind of started playing a little cheesy at the end, like a little bit, and it lost me and lost a bunch of other people. But most of the crowd was totally like still locked into it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he did like a mix for Tresor recently, like in the past like 2 years, that was like inspired by old acid house. Like it was almost like. I think in the marketing for it was almost like saying like I'm returning to the X Mix.
Okay.
Like it was almost like he was like said that was like a reference for what he was trying to do with this.
Well, they were doing a series of X Mix parties like for the 20-year anniversary or whatever, and I played with Aquaviva in.
But you said he didn't play like that X Mix.
No.
He said he played like old Aquaviva, which is nice.
Right. Yeah, but it wasn't like he didn't pull out like a bunch of classics and stuff.
Well, like I've never heard it. Like that X Mix to me sounds nothing like any Aquaviva set I've ever heard.
Okay.
Like if you go back and listen to that X Mix, you're like, these aren't. It's a very, very well put together, almost IDM, but not IDM, but it's very melodic and very like it's you almost like wouldn't dance to it.
Okay.
Because it really isn't that pumping.
Okay.
But have you listened to the Aquaviva?
It's been forever. It's been forever.
Beautifully crafted.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's not something you would ever play in a club. It sounds nothing like I've ever heard Aquaviva play.
Okay.
It's almost just like it's almost like a listening techno mix. Like the BPMs are there.
Right.
But it feels more like a listening techno mix.
Okay.
Like it's beautiful. I love it. It's still one of my favorite kind of pieces of electronic music.
It's been a long time since I listened to it. He showed up. He showed up to the old Miami.
At this year.
Yeah. I was just getting ready to start playing, and like Matthew Johnson was just finishing up, and all of a sudden, like, there's John, like, totally looking fresh and everything, just like pops out of nowhere, like from behind the monitor. I was just like, "How you doing, man?" I'm like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Should I just play La Musica Tremenda right now or what?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, go ahead."
That's his fucking record.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that. Yeah, that's the Aquaviva that we all know and love. But yeah, it's funny because X Mix is nothing like that.
Okay.
God, I'm glad we're almost home, and my voice is like collapsing from the desert.
Yeah.
So maybe we should wrap this up, and what do you got going on? Because we're gonna get this out quickly. What's your summer looking like?
My summer is let's see, I don't know. I have.
Do you have any other USA booked this summer?
As of right now, no.
Oh, you're doing all the European festivals this year. This is your festival summer.
This is my festival summer. Apparently, I mean, I've got 2 gigs in Berlin in July, and then let's see
where.
One's at Watergate for Buzz.
Oh, you're playing for Buzz.
Uh-huh.
That hasn't happened yet.
No, and then I have Renata with Mr. Static like next weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we did it there about a year ago, and it was a lot of fun.
Smokiest club in Berlin.
Yeah, it can be for sure.
But,
the new the Schwartz room, like downstairs, the black room, is like their techno floor now.
Oh, they redid that.
They redid it, and it's awesome.
Okay, because that room was weird and
I hated playing in there before with the little balcony and everything. Like I couldn't stand that room. Now it's really, really, really good.
That's cool.
And then in August, we're doing No Way Back. Like a lot of us from No Way Back are playing at first Knock Digital Festival, and then we're at Knock Digital for the weekend, and then on Sunday night we fly to Amsterdam to play at Deck Mantle.
Okay,
we're doing the closing party there.
So is it actually like it's a closing party? Does that mean like it's not it's not like the big multi-stage festival? It's like a party.
It's like an indoor thing afterwards.
Okay, and it's a proper No Way Back.
Pretty much. I mean, we're missing. Patrick's not on the bill for some reason. I'm not really sure. And Servito is he's playing with Magda already, so he's not really part of our party, unfortunately.
Okay. Oh, because he's playing like the big.
He's playing Deck Mantle with Magda, like together, like they're tagging.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I don't know how that's gonna work, but yeah, I'm sure they have.
I'm sure they have an idea.
And then you're flying, Josh.
We're so close to home.
I know. And then at the end of August, I have Dimensions Festival, and that's just me. Well, it's not just me, but it's not the No Way Back. I'm playing all of Dimensions Festival by myself, and that's in Croatia.
Okay. So, and you got a record out?
The record,
a rare Derek Plaslaiko release.
I know, right? It's a big, weird year. Podcasts, records. Yeah, that came out in June.
Best name for a record this year, if not every year.
Exile on Sesame Strasse. I mean, it's true.
I laugh again. I know it, and I still laugh when I hear it.
I thought I was pretty clever when I came up.
I'm sure you did. And any more music coming?
Nothing finished. No.
Okay.
I mean, there will be another Bunker EP, but I have to finish it.
All right.
And who knows when that'll happen.
Cool. Where should people find you? They check out your latest podcast on your SoundCloud, which is just Derek Plaslaiko.
It's Plaslaiko, yeah.
Plaslaiko. All right.
It's basically just Plaslaiko for everything.
Yeah, it's
I very rarely.
True. You type Plaslaiko into Google, and there's not a whole lot of
that's
things
all
that
me.
come
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Should we reveal the source of the name?
The story's been told.
Has it been?
Times.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, we'll skip it.
Google it.
We're in the driveway.
If you care that much, Google it.
We're in the driveway. We've made it back.
All right.
And we're signing off.
Yeah. Shut it off.
That's it for this episode of the Rave Curious podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more conversations with key players in the electronic music community. If you like what you heard on this podcast, let us know. You can give us a shout on Twitter at Rave Curious. You can also like us on Facebook, Rave Curious Podcast. And of course, subscribe on iTunes to make sure you never miss an episode. That's it. Thanks for listening.